Hey everyone, welcome to another couple chat. Vegan prepper. Vegan prepper. Hey everyone, we're back 2 weeks in a row.
We are indeed.
Very exciting. Do you want to give an update on our August challenge and like what it even was?
Yeah. So we're doing a little bit of a health reset. I give up caffeine and snacks, sugar, chips, candy, cookies.
I know I should do all of that, but I'm just giving up sugar, like added sugar and sugary treats. So yeah.
So we've made it through our first week. I spent most of that week with a brutal headache, and at this moment I feel like eating all the candy, but
I need to make you some more tea.
But yeah, getting through it. So I did a caffeine taper for 5 days, and now I've been off caffeine completely for 2 days, and I think I'm okay.
Yay! So does the tea, did it seem like it was helping you?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah,
last time it took, I think 3 weeks to get off the caffeine, but yeah, I'm off it much faster this time.
Yeah, I know. So the tea I'm discussing is, I actually talk a lot about it in my Why I Quit Caffeine video. I can link that down below. But basically the blend I use is if you use a quart-sized mason jar, I do 2 tablespoons of oat straw, 1 tablespoon of nettles, and then you just pour boiling water over top and let it brew for at least 45 minutes. And then when you drink it, oat straw is extremely helpful for withdrawal symptoms. It's very famous for that. They're using it even in kind of more extreme cases, like extreme drug addictions, like heroin. It's also for like nicotine withdrawal and even like sugar withdrawal. So I've been drinking it too, and it's just very helpful. And it really does help. It acts by kind of calming and just supporting the nerves in the brain. And I think that that's part of why it can really help, especially with caffeine. For me personally, when I quit caffeine, I was drinking 3 quarts of that tea every single day, and I didn't get a single headache. So I had always gotten migraines before, but this time I didn't. So we didn't make you that much.
No.
So,
I was doing a quart a day.
Yeah.
A couple times I did 2 quarts.
Yeah. You got made fun of at work.
Yes.
It looks like grass clippings.
Yeah.
It does. It's like, but yeah, it's funny. But anyway, yeah, and sweeten it however you like. I usually add a half tablespoon of stevia leaf. That's the green, dry leaf of stevia. My stevia, it's about a half tablespoon for the quart. But if you're going to do that and you have a new batch of stevia, I heartily recommend Mountain Rose Herbs. I've never been disappointed. I've bought stevia leaf off of Amazon before. That tasted disgusting.
So disgusting.
So bad. Like, I don't know if it was even like, it was so horrible. So anyway, but the one from Mountain Rose Herbs has never disappointed. And every now and then you get a batch that's kind of stronger, and you only need to use about a teaspoon. So I would say start with a teaspoon, so that you don't like ruin your tea. But if you use too much, all is not lost. You can brew yourself another batch of unsweetened tea, mix them together, and then it can work out. But just anyway, that's how I do it. I do that, and it's super wonderful and sweet and delicious. You prefer it without the added sweetness?
Yep. You
like the taste of the oat straw without sweetener?
Yeah. Got a little hint of sweetness to it anyways.
Yes.
I feel like.
Yeah.
It's tea. Yeah, it's enough.
It's a very pleasant tea. Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of sweet tea anyway, so.
No, he's not. He's not even Southern, so,
I'm not. One day I hope to be.
Oh, I love you anyway. Oh gosh, no, he's amazing. But yeah, we're doing pretty well. So my one thing that I have allowed myself to keep myself sane, because I have issues. Okay, we don't need to get into it, but I do. And I knew I needed to have at least one thing. And so my one thing I'm allowing myself, it's not ideal, but I'll let you guys know, my secret here is I'm allowing myself every now and then to eat some of these Lakanto chocolate chips. They're completely delicious. I'll have like maybe a couple tablespoons in a little bowl, and then just sort of eat them to make me feel like I'm still getting a nice chocolate treat, but still with no sugar, nothing upsetting my blood sugar. And so that's kind of how I'm sort of keeping myself sane, especially at this time. I don't mean to be a walking stereotype, but at this particular point in my cycle, like, you cannot keep chocolate from me, so I need the chocolate. And that's a real thing too, by the way. There's a reason that that's a stereotype. There's a physiological thing that happens, but yeah, guess we don't need to talk about it. But coating on my tongue is gone after only 1 week. Pretty great. So yeah, doing well.
Yep.
Anyway, do you have anything else to add, or?
Nope. Keep on rocking in the free world.
I love it. I love you.
I love you.
You're pretty great. Okay.
So on to our first main topic.
Well, it's going to be, we're going to do another segment of Adam Reacts. Okay. So it's going to essentially segue into our full topic. But I have a quote from the book, Love People, Use Things Because the Opposite Never Works, by Joshua Fields Milburn and Ryan Nicodemus, the Minimalists. So this is basically a book about minimalism and all of that. I've actually talked on the channel before about kind of like minimalism and prepping, and how I don't think that they are necessarily mutually exclusive. No minimalist would think that all of this is minimalist, but it's not about stuff. It's about food security, so I feel like it's different.
Yeah. They're just storing their food at the grocery store.
Exactly. They're not outsourcing the storage of their food. Exactly. 100%. So we are the first humans in really ever, like just within the last 100 years, maybe even more recently than that, the very first groups of humans who have not had huge stores of food, if they were very, very lucky. You know, this is something we've always done. So anyway, but I wanted to quote the intro. There's a little quote in the intro, and I was just reading this book and I was like, why you gotta be like that, Joshua Fields Milburn, you know? But basically the whole intro is kind of talking about the pandemic, and how he was finishing up the book when 2020 really kicked off with all of that stuff. So okay, so here's the quote. So you just want to kind of get your reaction. If only we could have gotten this book into the hands of struggling people before the spread of the virus, we would have prevented a great deal of heartache, because intentional living is the best form of preparation. When you step back, it's easy to see that the so-called preppers, the embarrassment of hoarders we see on our TV screens, are the least prepared for a crisis. You can't trade canned corn and ammunition for the support and trust of a loving community. You can survive, however, if you need less, and you can thrive even in a crisis if your relationships are thriving. That's the quote.
And I also, that's true if you're going to eat your relationships.
It's like you need people who trust you a lot so that you can put them in your freezer.
Just climb in, it's fine. Trust
basically,
me.
Yeah. So I just want to say, I don't really want to knock this book so far. It has been really great. It's just that one quote. And to me personally, while you are like pondering, because I know he likes to have a moment to think, I feel like for me personally, that represents, again, we've talked about the channel a lot, like it's just the misconception in the world towards prepping and preppers and what it is and who they are. And that, yeah, like he obviously, Joshua Fields Milburn would probably walk into our house and think this is hoarding. Almost certainly, and that's fine. But Yeah, I just think, yeah, it's misconception. And obviously, if you're sheltering in place, and you still can go to the grocery store and buy food and all of that, then sure, probably one of your greatest preps is strong relationships. In a situation in which you can still access food and you have power and all of that stuff. So, anyway, what do you think?
I mean, we've talked about it before that building a community is extremely important to long-term security. Mm-hmm. Knowing your neighbors, which we're not great at. Having a community of people that can support each other. But yeah, I guess it's basically people not understanding other people. I mean, it's to say that we are the least prepared. I guess it's implying that we are doing this all for and by ourselves, that we don't have relationships, that we focused all of our intention on collecting things, and that we haven't focused on that support structure of people or our friends and family. I mean, we've talked about it again before that this stock of stuff is not just for us. We have family that don't do this, so we're sure as heck not gonna welcome them at the door and say, well, you thought we were crazy, so go ahead and starve.
Because some of them probably would rather starve
and admit we were right.
and then eat beans.
Beans again.
Yeah,
that's it's very interesting.
Yeah, I also think for me personally, and I want to read this one more time. It's just part of it though. When you step back, it's easy to see that so-called preppers, the embarrassment of hoarders we see on our TV screens, are the least prepared for a crisis.
I guess I don't understand how that's even...
Maybe he, in his mind, for this particular crisis, again, it's like the cushiest of crises to, be stuck at home and be getting fat checks from the government and go to the store and buy your stuff and you know what I mean?
Fully stocked grocery store, which it was a bit thin there for a while.
Well, it did, but it's just interesting to me because now I'm thinking about I think again often of the blizzard in Texas, right?
Yep.
All of a sudden you had people who lost access to all power in the middle of a snowstorm, and they lost access to clean water because pipes, the water is also run by the power. Just some awful stories of the things that people endured because that was a crisis, and I'm sure that some of those people were wishing for some canned corn.
Yep.
I mean, thankfully, it doesn't sound like none of the stories coming out. It doesn't sound like anybody was using or needing ammunition at that time. Thank God it didn't get like that. But
they might have if they had a whole bunch of canned corn.
But I mean, I'm just saying, it's like people, because I actually I have a friend who endured some of that. Thankfully, he was a little better off than some people, but they had no running water. They had no power. He was giving updates on Facebook that their apartment was in the 20s, that they were struggling with keeping warm. They had one friend who lived really far away who had running water still, somehow. And so he and his girlfriend were able to go over there and take showers after a whole week of not being able to have a shower. He was so grateful to be able to have a shower. Things like that, so people were dealing with real stuff. Thank God they still had enough food, but there were people who were running out, and people, unfortunately very sad stories of people who died because they were lighting fires inside, or people who were sitting inside of their running cars to stay warm, but they were doing it inside of their garages, because it's like people are so far removed from the most basic of survival information. You don't even have enough survival information for like urban level survival, or
don't run your car inside
in your garage. Yeah, like they don't even know that, you know, because we're so ignorant and so weak and so dependent on the system in so many ways. And of course we still are too, and I throw no judgment on them. To me that's like, to me that is just, it's tragic on so many levels. It's a lack of information, and I feel like that is one thing for sure that preppers really excel at, is learning, right? You learn the particulars of different situations, and you kind of, you go through the hypotheticals of, well, what would I do in that situation, and you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, like I said, I don't mean to knock the book. They're great, actually. I like the minimalists. I like watching them, because I'm a minimalist at heart, I believe, even if it doesn't look like it with my prepping shelves. But yeah, I'm always about breaking things down to the simplest possible, not buying a ton of stuff. Although we do have things for each need, as we realize this is a need, then we purchase the thing to fill that need. But yeah, we're getting ready to do another big purge.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get rid of things that have been sitting here for 10 years unused.
Yeah. We've done it many times. If our room was like super clean right now, it's not. I should do it anyway. I was going to show you guys a shot of our room. Like it's very bare. It's like bare bones. And most stuff, if I had my way, it would be bare bones. I've talked many times that I would love to have clear surfaces everywhere, clear floors, clear everything. But you know, you've got 5 people who need to live, and I need the things. But overall, though, we do, I think, a lot better than many people out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, not judging people who have more stuff. But for me, it's a point of stress. To have too many things is stressful to me. But yeah, like my clothes, right? Wait, why are you laughing?
I was thinking of a few things we could probably purge.
What, for my clothes?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like what?
All of it.
Why?
You wear like 3 shirts and
oh
pair
yeah,
of pants.
It's true. I don't even have pants anymore. I wore through my only pair of pants, and I just haven't bought a new pair of pants yet, because I'm like, I don't know if I need a pair of pants. But then it's like, okay, I guess I probably need a pair of pants. Like I really, like, I just don't. Like, so you're right, I probably could clear my whole closet right now and I'd be fine. So anyway, yeah, I don't know. I wear a backpack. I have like 1 alternate purse if I need to look nice. And even my shoes, right? I only wear like 2 pairs of shoes.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just, I don't know. Things stress me out. Like, choices stress me out. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I would like to, that's like one of those situations where you'd like to kind of have a chat and get the meaning and the feeling behind a statement like that.
Yeah.
Because, like, obviously we can come at it from the other direction and, you know, say somebody's a stupid idiot. I'm not saying that he's a stupid idiot. But try to lean towards understanding before defensiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just, like I said, I think it's just a misunderstanding of what preppers are, what we do, and what a crisis is.
Yeah.
You know,
he
likely hasn't faced a real crisis.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, not that we really have, you know, but I mean, we're set. If it does happen, we're not afraid of that, you know, so
yeah,
it's interesting. So that was meant to kind of launch into our topic of, like, the main topic I thought today. And I actually didn't even tell him this, because I feel like a lot of times we end up having our best conversations before we film. And so I decided to have the whole thing be totally fresh this time. And so yeah, I was thinking, you know, I've talked about it on the channel before, but I'd love to hear you talk about some things too, or we can talk it together of, does minimalism and prepping, like, can they coexist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
All right,
end.
that's it. Yeah.
I feel like minimalism is at its heart a concept that's about only having the things that you need.
Mm-hmm.
And different people have a different opinion of what you need is. Mm-hmm. Obviously, a lot of people don't think you need 300 pounds of rice. Mm-hmm. Or chairs, or, you know, whatever. But I think it's about narrowing your life down to mm-hmm. keeping the things that are necessary, keep the things that make you happy, and get rid of the stuff that doesn't benefit you.
Yeah.
Doesn't help you.
I agree.
Every time I go in the garage, I feel like none of this stuff helps me.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get a shovel and I'm going to get rid of it all, because it actually makes my life worse.
Right.
Because I'm going to go out there and all I'm going to do is a 10-minute woodworking project. It's going to be super simple and I can't get to my saw. I know the job will take me 10 minutes, but I have things in the way of the thing that I want to use. Some people would say I don't need a table saw. Like, having a garage full of woodworking tools is not necessary until you need a saw.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, I mean, it might not be useful for somebody who doesn't function the way I function, but I'm the kind of person that if I can make it, I will make it. If I can fix it, I will fix it. Mm-hmm. And that requires tools. So
yeah, and that's actually something I hear all of the time. Minimalists will say, like the minimalists on YouTube or whatever, and this is like, even though I'm passionate about minimalism and paring my stuff down to you know, as few things as I can, like I'm getting ready to purge the kitchen again and get rid of dishes and get rid of bakeware and things I don't use, you know, an excess of things that I have. But like, cause it's like, it creeps back in and then you purge again and then it creeps back in and then you purge, you know, it's like, so it's kind of like a cycle. It's never like done completely. But one of the things that they say all of the time is that if you don't necessarily need to own a tool, like if you can usually borrow a tool from someone. And I feel like that is, again, it's like you're outsourcing your food storage and you're also outsourcing your tools. Like, are you serious? What about a crisis where you live in California and you have to shelter in place, but you got to shelter in place like for real? Like, nobody is touching or talking to anybody. Are you supposed to go to your neighbor's house when you're not allowed to go outside unless you're going to the grocery store? Like, can you go to a neighbor's house and borrow a tool in that situation? Can you like, yeah, what if the government says you can't leave your house, you know, and you need a tool? Like,
yeah,
it's crazy. to me that is crazy. Like, the idea that you don't now maybe, like, I don't know, like, we're good friends with Nathan. I don't know if we should say his name. Sorry, we said his name. I don't know, what are they gonna find us because we said our neighbor's name? But he's our neighbor.
His name's Steve.
Yeah, just kidding. It's not Nathan, it's Steve. But like, he has a lot of woodworking stuff. He's a woodworker. Yep. You know? But it's like, do you ever borrow his tools?
No.
Yeah. I mean, I think he'd be willing. But that's the thing too, where it's like, you have an expensive tool. Are you gonna like lend it to someone? Are you kidding me? Like,
for when you don't borrow a table saw.
Yeah.
Because it's like 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So then it's like, can I use a saw in your shop? Which means that then there's a mess in the shop, and there's, you know, inconvenience, there's wear and tear on the tools, which we're good enough friends, I'm sure he'd be fine with. But it's one of those things where it creates a more significant inconvenience that I'm willing to put on somebody.
Yeah.
And also he's not always home. So
yeah, and I don't know, but like, you know, like for instance, I've got my sun oven, my all-American sun oven. I mean, that thing is great. Like it works really well. It was really expensive. I don't think I would let anybody borrow that because I wouldn't trust that they would keep it okay. Like you have to, I mean, it's sturdy, but you got to be careful about those panels. You got to like.
It's fiddly. Yeah, you got to be careful with stuff, and people aren't always careful with stuff.
They're not, and I don't know. Like I don't know if that makes me a bad person for not wanting to lend my expensive things to people. Like even if they're friends, like maybe if it was like a really good friend. Really good. Maybe then. Like, I'd let them try it out. Maybe. I have a list of 2 people in my mind. I bet you know who they are. I think they'd let them borrow it. Maybe a couple others now that I think about it. But, like, I don't know. Like, that'd be very difficult for me. It's very difficult for me to lend my things out. Not I'm an only child, too. So this is like, I'll share my things. I'll buy you your own. Don't try to use mine. I'm like really generous. Oh, sorry. But I also don't like to share. So it's like this whole thing I have. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's certain tools that are like in the mechanicking world. There's certain stuff you don't loan.
Yeah.
You know, some stuff it requires calibration. Some stuff that is easily damaged. You just don't loan it out. And it's one of those kind of understood things that if you don't have your own, you better go get it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've been in the mechanical field for so long that I have a very high level of respect for people's tools because they've been the way we made money. And if they're broken or if they're missing or if they're gone, then that affects the ability to make money. So obviously borrowing something from your neighbor doesn't fit into that world, but it's just the attitude I have towards that stuff where it's like, yes, you might loan it out, but should I ask? I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess it kind of also ends up maybe depending on what it is.
Yeah.
You know, like I remember one time I was in the middle of a recipe and I had run out of onions and I needed an onion. It was like, oh my gosh, and I could not go to the store. I forget what the situation was. So I popped over to our neighbor's house, not Steve, but the other one, back when it was before these people had moved. And we weren't like friends, but we were like friendly. And I knocked on the door and I was like, I'm so sorry, but you have an onion? And I asked for an onion. She gave me it was fine, you know, so it wasn't a big deal. And so stuff like that, like, I think that that's a great neighborly way to be. Like, if somebody knocked on my door and needed, you know, something that I had and it wasn't a big deal, I could just give it to them. But yeah, I feel like that is different. Like the whole borrow a cup of sugar, like euphemism. I feel like that's different than like
when you don't borrow a cup of sugar, you take a cup of sugar.
Yeah, you just give it, you know. And so but to me too though, I feel like, and I don't mean to like, man, it's like, is this about to get political or goodness? Sorry, all that like that sound that you hear is because we're on the floor again. That's like us adjusting our legs, by the way. But oh my gosh, it's indicative of an attitude, I think, that I really don't appreciate. The idea that I'll just use someone else's. Someone else has it for me. Like you can survive because other people have things.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, I don't know, like, and again, it's kind of like one thing, if you're really good friends, maybe, you know, if you had the wood shop, but somebody else was set up with a different kind of shop, and maybe the two of you
work together.
Yeah, like he could come use your wood stuff, you could go use that stuff, you know, like maybe, like if there's kind of like an equal exchange, but yeah, just like some kid in skinny jeans and thick rimmed glasses comes up wanting to borrow your power drill because they don't want to buy one because they're minimalist and they can just borrow it from somebody else. Like,
I'm gonna say no.
No. You know what it's called? It's called a screwdriver, and you just use it like this with your wrist. That's how you do it until you get your own, So, anyway.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't really appreciate the attitude behind that. The whole outsourcing thing.
Yeah.
But like, I'm a hoarder because I make sure that we have what we need for various scenarios. But like, you're not a leech because you want to borrow everything that everybody has so that you don't have to put it in your own cupboard. I don't know.
If you're actually part of some kind of community where the idea is fully understood that certain people have certain things that they always share and certain people have certain things that they always share. One house has the dishes and the other house has the tools, and one person's got a stove, and all these things, they work in a community. That's one thing. But to just say, oh, my buddy Jimbo has got a drill, so I don't need to own one.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. Because like, now I'm trying to think in my life, because I'm wondering if we're coming across sounding really selfish. We might. But like, for instance, I have a spinning wheel and I love it. And before I purchased my own spinning wheel, I learned how to spin. There was a really wonderful woman in our knitting group. I took a class, and she's, I don't know if you know anything about knitters and spinners. She had like 5 spinning wheels. But she said, here, I'll let you borrow this wheel I have so that you can decide whether you even want a wheel. And I borrowed it for like a week or 2. And it turns out I loved it. I want a wheel, and I gave it back, and I ended up buying my own wheel, So that, I don't know, I feel like that might be, it's different. But yeah, it's not like, I'm just not going to own a spinning wheel because I'll always be able to borrow one from Barbara. She's got 5. She doesn't need 5. I'll just borrow one of hers, like.
Yeah, that's different.
It's a different attitude. So yeah. Anyway, but let me tell you another quote I really love. So I'm also reading The More of Less by Joshua Becker. I'm getting actually both of these books I got off of my digital library. And so I love the tag on this book, Finding the Life You Want Under Everything You Own. It's a really great book. And so let me find where I found it. I love his definition of minimalism because I feel like this is where we can find our answer as far as like where it fits prepping. Is minimalism, the intentional promotion of the things we most value and the removal of anything that distracts us from them. I just really like that. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So we most value security, right? Like food security, ability to weather crises, things like that. And so we make sure that we have the stuff that we need for that, but we don't value, I don't know, random crap like
knickknacks and memorabilia.
Yeah.
I don't have a comic book collection. I don't even have my yearbooks anymore.
Yeah, I got rid of all my yearbooks too. Yeah, it's like, it's just interesting.
After moving yearbooks for 20 years, I realized I hadn't looked at them in 20 years. Like, why am I still keeping this stuff? I don't care about what I looked like in 3rd grade or who was in my class. What difference does it make? And that's not to say that keeping yearbooks is wrong. Some people have value in that. Some people, are really into the looking back and whatever, but I don't know. I feel like I'm more of a looking forward kind of person, so.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't adding anything to my life, so I just got rid of them.
Right, and people would say, "Oh, but what if your kids want to see what you looked like when you were that age?" Well, we have other pictures. Like we have pictures of us young.
It's not to say that's the only pictures I have of me as a
But
child.
yeah, we don't have yearbooks because this looks like a lot of room on the shelf, and it's just kind of like, why? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to devote a shelf to books that we don't look at.
yeah,
But-
yeah. I guess that's just one example. So I don't know. It's
Yeah.
hard. We like, and sometimes it's you can pare things down without necessarily getting rid of everything. Like we took all our DVDs
Yeah.
and we got like a 400 CD sleeve thing off of Amazon, and it's about this big and then like this thick. Like it's pretty thick. But now like all of our DVDs and Blu-rays are, well, not all of them. We still have some sets up here, but even those, I'm beginning to think, why not just throw them into the thing? It doesn't matter if they have the fancy containers anymore, They're still DVDs. Nobody's gonna want them. Like even if they're like a fancy set, like we have our Star Trek shows, which we purchased before streaming services existed that like just had everything for you on there. But
The good old days.
But yeah, we could take those and put them into the thing, and then we could clear that shelf, like, so we got rid of goodness, like 3 bookshelves out of our living room just by paring our movies down and getting rid of tons of books, donating so many things, like just old stuff that we had. But anyway, we might be going off, or anyway. Yeah, I guess it is. It's figuring out, and I just really love this. It's intentional promotion of the things that we most value. The removal of anything that distracts us from that, So, yeah, what are our values?
Yeah. Getting the clutter out of our lives. And yeah, I don't know. Every time we get rid of a bunch of stuff, I feel like lighter and the world is a better place.
Yeah.
Just having more access to what we want.
Yeah, like even this room where we're sitting, like we've intentionally kept this floor clear and open so that like we can do workouts. We can, like, our treadmill is in here. You do your squat walks across the room, which I still think are kind of amazing. You look like Spider-Man. He like squats and then he just walks across the room in a squat, and it's like, and then I squat and I'm like I can't move anything. It's like, I'm lucky I got in a squat. That's not true. I can squat really well now, but so it's great having this open space to play, and Sage like literally runs and dances and does all stuff in here, but like that's important to us. That is a value of ours, to be able to have a place where we can do physical activity. And for us, that means that we have to have an open room, because a huge portion of our year, it's not really possible to do any of that outside. So,
Yep.
Anyway.
Not for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's just interesting, I guess, to think.
Yeah, I don't think it's like so many things in life. It's just balance.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't have to be one thing or the other.
Mm-hmm.
There's room for variety. There's room for that balance. But yeah, if we had 12 china cabinets full of, I don't know, our grandparents' dishes or whatever.
We used to have, well, not 12, but yeah.
Yeah, we had, I guess we did have.
We had a china cabinet full of, 2, yeah.
A couple of shelves, full of
dishes
and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we had that, then we'd have less room for the stuff that's important to us, which is this stuff back here. So yeah, figuring out what adds the most value to your life. If having your grandmother's dishes is important to you, then awesome. By all means, make room for that, but only if it's important to you.
Right.
I tend to lean towards the, I don't know, I guess not the heartless side of things. Um, I don't feel like I should have to keep something just because somebody gave it to me. There are certain things I have kept because somebody gave it to me because it was important to me. But the idea that everything that anybody gives to you is of value to you is just not true. And I don't think we should be keeping stuff around. I mean, like a set of dishes. If you're not going to use that set of dishes, if that dish set doesn't bring value to you, if you don't have space for it, if it's not important to the memory of the person that gave it to you, then just get rid of it.
Right.
Somebody else will love that stuff.
Right.
Yeah. I've got a pocket knife that my grandfather gave me. He gave it to me when I was like 12 years old, I think, and it's stupid. I don't want to put it in my pocket because it has a fork and a spoon on the outside of it. But when I was 12 years old, it was so cool. I loved it, and I carried it in my pocket even though it would poke holes in my pockets. And when I tried to pull it out of my pocket, it would get stuck because it had a fork on it. It's like a Boy Scout thing or something. But it was given to me by my grandfather, and it was my great-grandfather's, and that was very cool to me. For one, I'm a knife guy, so I like knives. So it's a thing that...
Our P.O. box is in the description. No, I'm just kidding.
I really like expensive knives. So I still have that knife. I'm not going to use it because it's probably at this point a 75-year-old pocket knife that has a fork and a spoon on it. I used it a lot when I was a kid.
Wait. Okay, we're back. Sage was putting bean bags into the mason jars I have up on a high shelf over here. She climbed up onto a bench, and it might be time to not be leaving her unsupervised anymore.
Our son's watching her, but
yeah.
She breaks away. She's not just running willy-nilly around the house for the most part.
She's hilarious, though. I love that child. She jumped off our bed onto her bed again. She said, "Cannonball!" It jumped. It was like, hey, stop jumping off of things. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, she needs room to play. Which is why we have fewer things.
Yes, and why we have, physical toys, the wobble board thing, balance beams and just stuff. So we have to keep high energy focused in a good way. So anyway.
So at any rate, yeah, like I was saying, I kept that knife because it is important to me. It doesn't take up a lot of space. If it was a tuba, I might have a different opinion of it.
Yeah.
But I have a little box with a few different knives in it that aren't knives that I use ever, really. They are collector's items. They are heirlooms. And I do hold on to them because those things are important to me. But
yeah,
it's so much of a space value kind of thing where, like I said, if it was a tuba or a treadmill or my grandfather gave me his treadmill. I wouldn't have the treadmill anymore. But
yeah.
But yeah, figuring out those things that are valuable to you and why, and making room for them.
Yeah. I was trying to think while you were off taking care of Sage, I was trying to think of things that I have kept that I treasure. And honestly, it's funny, there's not much. I can't think of a single. Oh, you know what? I do have a bracelet, a really beautiful green crystal bracelet from my great aunt Imogene. Great aunt, actually. My great grandmother's sister. I didn't really know her. I met her only once, but for whatever reason, when she died, Well, she ended up giving my grandmother some jewelry, and my grandmother let me pick something. And I really loved that bracelet. It's a gorgeous bracelet. It's vintage. I treasure that bracelet like you would not believe. So yeah, everything else I've purged so much of my jewelry. I will never purge that bracelet. It's very precious to me. But actually the thing that really came to mind first was like all the little silly things that you've given me in our relationship, like randomly, because he is definitely, like he says, almost cold about certain things. Like he's really, I don't know, don't really wear your heart on your sleeve, but like you've done, like just silly little things, almost more than like the special gifts you've given me. I treasure these silly little things that you've done. Like you took like almost like a bread tie, like one of those twisty things, and he twisted it up one day and he just shaped it into a heart and handed it over to me. It was so precious. I still have it. This was like years ago. You were playing with a wood burner and you wood burned I Love Kathy on a popsicle stick, and I still have it. Like that was like almost 20 years ago at this point. I still have that popsicle stick. Little things like that. I don't know, I just really treasure those. So yeah, and they're just like you said, like if it was like a tuba, I probably would have possibly purged it by now, but they're just little things, you know, to keep. Things that are sweet. And yeah, there's some random little things like that all over, but yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I think that prepping and minimalism can coincide. I've said before, I think maybe it's kind of close to Joshua Becker's definition. I actually really love Joshua Becker's YouTube channel. He has a lot of really amazing videos. And I think he's a little bit less extreme than some people. But I guess almost similar to his definition, I think of, well, like what gives you freedom? That's what I try to decide on, what I'm keeping versus what I'm giving away. Does this make me more free? Am I more free keeping this, or am I more free getting rid of it? And with preps, I think a lot of them, I'm more free keeping that prep, especially if it serves me in a certain way in a certain situation. But with just, yeah, like clutter, whatever things, you know, a lot of times I think that we're more free getting rid of them. And probably our children are more free. Like when we kick the bucket, as we certainly will eventually, hopefully not for a very long time, but you know, somebody's gonna have to deal with all our stuff, and I don't want it to have to be them. So
yep,
I want to deal with it myself and not leave that burden. So
yeah, just leave good stuff for them to collect.
Yeah.
And
all right, I think we're good. Probably we can wrap it up.
Yeah.
And Sage wants to do a video too. She's really cute lately. She's been filming her own videos, and sometimes she does pretend videos, and sometimes she does real videos. And so we're gonna set her up in here with the ring light. She's gonna do videos with her little animals. It's gonna be really cute. But even every time we work in the kitchen now, she's like, "Ooh, we'll do pretend video," and she like goes like, she goes, "Boop." And she goes, "Today we are making," like she'll talk about like whatever we're making in the kitchen. And I'm chef mom, and she's chef Sage, and we do pretend videos. I keep thinking actually maybe we should do a real video one of these days because she is so cute. So anyway, I think that's funny, but she's making videos now.
yep.
So anyway, all right, you're good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you guys for watching, especially if you watched this long. Let us know in the comments, I guess, anything you think about anything, all of it. So yeah, I almost lost track of all the things we talked about at this point. So
yeah.
Anyway, as always, I hope the rest of your day is good and your life stays wonderful. See you guys later.
Bye.